Hi, I'm Becca Otis from Five Lines Pottery in Indianapolis, Indiana.
And I'm Ryan Durbin from RD Ceramics, located in Southgate, Kentucky.
And welcome to Wheel Talk.
Hey guys, we've loved answering all of your questions so far. If you'd like to hear your question on the podcast, please send them to us on Instagram at Wheel Talk Podcast or by email to wheeltalkpodcast@gmail.com. Thanks.
Hi.
I don't think you were listening.
Hi. I was listening. I had to change screens in my computer.
Okay. Hi, Becca.
Hi, Ryan. We're live.
We are alive.
We are farmers. Dun 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 dun.
I love that. So you think these I think these commercials, every time I see commercials, I'm like, fuck that. You're not winning me over by this advertising. And then you say, we are farmers, bump, 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 bump. It's like, you just remember
You are. Yeah, I mean, like, who am I going to go to for insurance? Farmers.
Do you have farmers insurance, though?
It's State Farm, right? State Farm is the insurance place. No, I have American Family.
American Family Insurance.
American Family Insurance.
Just like that.
Just like that. I just ate a whole brownie, so I'm a little...
What kind of brownie?
Oh, yeah. Rebecca made me a brownie that is, like, all vegetables. Is it spirulina, which looks like green. It looks like tin. And
yeah.
And she
tin
sent me
oxide.
It looks like tin oxide, and she sent me a picture last night, and I legit didn't see what she was doing, and then I was like, why is she showing me glaze mixing?
I thought she was I thought she was mixing a glaze when I first saw it, and I was like,
wow. Yeah. And then I was like, oh, that's a brownie. That's disgusting.
She's gonna eat that.
And then I was like, you should bring it down here so I can try it on the podcast live. And then I ate it all because it was so good.
Before we went live, yeah.
Yeah. How are you?
I'm doing all right. So my assistant was here earlier, got a lot of clay prepped. I got a really big day in the studio yesterday, throwing a ton of stuff.
Nice.
So definitely, it's nice having weekends off, not having a ton of plans. I think we're back to like having some weekends to ourselves.
Yeah.
Without traveling and stuff. And yeah, just trying to throw a bunch of stuff. Trying to actually dedicate a few hours at a time to throw instead of spending more time on the computer and doing other tasks outside of studio work. So
yeah,
staying productive.
That's good.
What about you?
Wait, what can you tell us? Did anything happen with your wife?
Did anything happen with my wife? She put her 2 weeks notice in at work.
Yay! I mean,
so she'll not be flying the skies.
Yeah, I shouldn't be yaying because I got benefits from that, but but I'm excited. Also, Rebecca's here, so I'm going to tell her. Rachel put in her 2 weeks. Yay!
But for those who don't know, Rachel is my wife, and she was, she's still working for a little bit more time. She was a flight attendant, so.
Yeah. And so she, as everybody in the whole world knows, that flight attendants have gotten the brunt of the mask situation.
Yeah, and just a number of things flying has gotten more stressful and not as enjoyable for her as it once was.
As it once was, yeah.
Yeah, she's been doing it. I think she's been doing it since about 2015, so.
Yeah, this has been
about 7 years.
It's career for her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she's been doing some other work, doing some transcribing actually. So she's been working from home and getting adjusted to a different kind of work style there. And then she's helping me out a little bit more. And looking at some other options with some friends. So
I just really am excited for your guys' as next couple years, because it's all changing. It's all going to change.
definitely, yeah, it's gonna be like, what do you do? What does your wife do? And I'll be like,
maybe you'll even get a third cat.
I don't think that's gonna happen, but
You don't want a third
Marble,
baby?
Marble's sitting right here. You can't say that. She's sitting on my lap right now, Becca. She's gonna hear you.
Marble, I'm so sorry. I don't want to offend Marble. Marble's sitting right here.
She's so peaceful sitting on my lap. No third cat.
No third cat. Yeah, I think it'll be great regardless.
Yeah. And there might be some other changes coming. We'll see. But
yeah. Who knows?
what did we
no
get?
Babies, though.
No babies, no. We're not talking
No
that.
babies.
No.
Don't expect any children in this equation.
No.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
What did we get today? We got something today.
Yes. Both me and Ryan. So we got a message from Dina Edwards. It's Mudheads Pottery. And because we talked about... I was talking about Slap Your Mama seasoning. And
I don't even know when that was. Like, were we just shooting the shit at the beginning and talking about it?
Yeah. Because I was watching Queer Eye for the Straight Guy. No, just Queer Eye. It's not for the Straight Guy anyway. It's for everybody. I was watching Queer Eye, and the lady was like, "I use Slap Your Mama seasoning," and I was like, "I used to use that as well, and then when I moved, it like disappeared." And so she was so kind, and she messaged both of us and was like, "Send me your address. I'm sending you some seasonings." So the box was so heavy. Did you feel like it was very heavy?
Yes, it was very dense.
It was so dense.
I was like, what is this? And then I saw it said, it was funny because my labels, what did I say? I sent you the label and I can't remember what it said. Did your label say something funny on it?
Oh, fuck
Mine
yeah.
said, what does yours say?
Mine says Becca Otis, badass pottery bitch.
Mine says Ryan Durbin, an unseasoned fellow, no longer.
An unseasoned fellow, no longer. That's so funny. Okay, so we got, she's from Texas, and so we got 2 things of Ragin' Cajun seafood boil, fixin' seafood boil, just pour and boil.
Yeah.
There's no MSG in this one. And then we got Uncle Chris's gourmet steak seasoning. And when she messaged me the first time, I thought she said Uncle Tony's Creole seasoning. So now I'm really, really excited because I'm really excited to use this. And this
the other
does
uncle
have MSG in it, which means it's delicious. And
we'll see what Chris has got. All right.
Yeah, and then we got the largest package of seasoning I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, can you show it for the camera here? For those...
I will. It's bigger than my face.
This is Slap Ya Mama's Cajun seafood boil that is as big as Becca's face.
And it's a 4-pound bag. It's good enough for 40 to 50 pounds of crawfish or shrimp. Or 4 to 5 dozen crabs. So when we have a get-together for the podcast, we'll just have a fucking shrimp broil.
Maybe we just have a fucking shrimp boil for Ensika in Cincinnati or something. Just come over. Come on over.
That's too long. We got to use this. But here's my question, because the Slap Your Mamas that I have always used was in a little seasoning container, kind of like the Uncle Chris's gourmet seasoning.
Like half a pound or something.
Like half a pound. So I'm wondering if it's the same seasoning or if this is like a different mix. I'm obviously going to use it for other stuff anyway. But
there's no calories in it.
yeah. There's no calories.
Zero calories.
There's 0 calories in a 4-pound bag.
You can eat all 4 pounds of that bad boy. No calories.
It's basically celery.
It's basically water. I mean, just dissolve it in water.
Rebecca's over here dying laughing. So funny. Anyway, Dina, you have put so much joy in our life.
What
today.
else was in the box?
Oh, yes. And then there was dog treats for our cats.
Marble and Autumn approved. They did eat some of the treats. We gave them some of the beef ones. It said like real beef or something like that.
Yeah.
They were
And
eating
I'm
that
really
shit
excited. Lloyd is going to love this. There's some salmon in there. And yeah, they look very fancy.
Yeah, she gave me like 5 bags. Like, how much does she have for her dogs if she gave us each like 4 or 5 bags of these things?
Yeah, you got some inventory issues, Dina.
BarkBox, you might need to skip a month or something.
No, you're very, very generous, and we so appreciate it. I'm really excited, honestly. When I grabbed the bag, Rebecca has a picture of me like squeezing the bag. I'm like very excited against my face. So, yeah,
it's gonna be so good. And that is Mudheads Pottery. I accidentally, when I was tagging her, I did MH Pottery instead of Mudheads because I missed it or something. I looked at something else. So I had to correct that, but appreciate that.
Yeah. Yeah, that was awesome. Like, I grabbed it on my way down here. So I opened it while I was setting up my computer.
Well, you kind of knew a little bit because I shared the box that I got, but I don't think you knew what was inside unless you looked at my stories to see what was inside.
I saw the stories, but I did not pay attention that much. I was not aware that it was going to be a 4-pound bag. Yeah. Like that was not something.
It was
that
the
was
focal point of the photo. Yeah.
Yeah.
Love it.
So, yeah. Very excited. Also, this is just like a nerd moment right now, but I have this like intense love of pans, like cooking pans, if anybody's ever used a Calphalon anodized hard steel, the old school ones that don't have the non-stick and coating in them, that's all of my dishes right now basically. And I needed an 8-inch frying pan, and I've needed one for a year, and I got one at Goodwill. It's like a shitty it's like a shitty metal one, which is fine, but I actually caught it on fire the other day.
You caught the pan on fire?
Well, you remember when I lit the butter on fire and the fire department came?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if I told that story on here.
I kind of saw it from stories, but I don't know that we actually heard about that.
Oh, well, a couple months ago, I was making Alfredo, and my burner was out. Like, the switches were messed up, and so I thought I did turn it to 3. But when I turned it to 3, I was, like, just heating up the pan so I could put butter in it so it would melt. But the switch actually went to, like, 15 instead of 3. So it got so hot that, like the
output?
burner switch. Yeah. It was, like, it was fried. And so it went to, like, a really high heat. And so then when I put the butter in it, it combusted and exploded and lit on fire in this pan. And then, and then I put it in the sink, and I put a bunch of flour on. By the way, you're supposed to put baking soda on, not flour, but flour is what I had, and it was just a tiny pat of butter. And then the fire department came. And
shit, was your your fire alarm going? Your smoke is smoking and shit?
Yeah, and when we said No, the building didn't evacuate because Cameron. I texted Cameron, our property manager. I have her personal cell phone number, which I'm not supposed to. Like nobody else has. So if anybody lives at Harding Street Lofts, I don't have it anyway.
Just
So
tell
I
people where
texted
you
her
live,
and
Becca.
I was like, just so you know, I set off the fire alarm in the building. So we have smoke detectors in our apartments, but we also have the fire alarm. And the fire alarm is set off by very like high amounts of smoke and heat. And so it set off the whole building's fire alarm at like 8 p.m. And I'm
Ooh.
making Alfredo for a friend. And so I texted her and I was like, "Hey, I set it off. It's fine. There's no fire." And so she texted everyone in the building and was like, "Don't go outside in the freezing cold because it's not a real fire. You just have to endure the sound." And then they finally turned it off like 30 minutes later because their
Jeez.
emergency contact was out of town.
Yikes. So
Yeah,
she
so-
texted everybody. So she gave everybody her phone number since you texted her.
No,
So now
I mean
everybody-
she texted everybody on the
I get it,
property
I get it.
manager phone thing. Anyway, so I like that scent. So I anyway, all that to say, my pan has been kind of not the best after
Yeah,
the
you
fire.
probably shouldn't be using that pan.
Well, it was a metal pan. It wasn't a nonstick pan, so it's fine. I scrubbed it real good. But Rebecca got me this carbon steel made in pan for Christmas, and it's beautiful. It's so pretty. I've been oodling over them for a long time, but I haven't pulled the trigger, and I'm very excited about it.
Okay. So you're not going to be making body wash in that pan, and you're not going to be
No
setting
body
fires
wash.
with that pan.
No. I'm making a lot of Alfredo sauce, though.
Nice.
And steaks and chickens and shrimp with my fucking slap your mama seasoning.
Shrimp boil.
Yeah. I got some shrimp in the freezer right now.
I don't know that we've ever actually made seafood like at home. That's not just like popcorn shrimp or something. I don't even think we've
Well,
made
now's
seafood.
the time, Ryan.
I do like
Now's
shrimp.
the time. Shrimp's delicious. It's expensive though.
I bet. Yeah, especially now. I'm sure all that stuff's
It's
expensive.
pretty affordable at Aldi.
You just get like a bag of frozen shrimp.
Yeah. But there was like 4 different kinds, and I was like, oh shit, which one do I get? The one that's peeled, the one that's not peeled, the one that's cooked, the one that's not cooked? Like, what do you get?
No idea.
Aldi's supposed to have less choices. What the fuck?
Yeah, why do you have 4 shrimp choices?
Yeah, so
Probably need like a bag of shrimp or shrimp cocktail. Like 2 choices.
2 choices. We have jumbo shrimp, tiny shrimp, medium shrimp, like all
Give me
the
the
shrimp.
popcorn shrimp.
Yeah, so that's my fun
That's
stuff.
what's new.
Pretty much. I mean,
Are
I
you-
started work.
Are
I'm
you
back
happy to be
home.
back home?
Yes,
Yeah.
very much so. It's nice to have a schedule again.
Yeah. Because you're gone for a whole month, so.
Yeah. Yup. Okay, so you're going to do a review.
Yeah, let's do a review.
And I got a new mic.
Yeah, so if y'all hear the difference and it
Yeah,
sounds
if you
way
guys
better
hear the
for Becca,
difference-
let us know.
Yeah, if you hear the difference between me and Ryan, let us know, because if his sounds less good than mine, we're gonna get him a new mic. So,
And mine's already pretty good.
and his is already pretty good. My mic just bit the dust. We don't know why. It just kind of like died.
Yeah. All right, so let's read this review from, I want to say Dasha, but I think it's Dasa.
Oh yeah, she's from right outside of
Slovenia.
Slovenia. She's
Slovenia. Is it Slovenia?
Slovenia, I think. I don't know.
Slovenia. Okay. This is kind of funny. The title of it says, "Love it when you just shoot the shit."
We do that a lot.
It says, "Hi, Becca and Ryan, waving from across the pond from Europe, specifically Slovenia. I've been an avid listener for about 6 months now, and I'm enjoying every single episode. You guys make me laugh, and also I love discovering how we all have the same problems, questions, and types of thinking regarding pottery. Listening to your podcast while throwing and or walking and working in general in my studio is something I look forward to. Hugs to you both, Dasha.
Oh, that's such a wholesome review.
Yeah, it's great.
I like it when you read the reviews because you have good voice dictation.
Do I? I feel like I don't.
Think you do.
I don't like reading longer things like that because I feel like I'm being judged by my reading.
I know you're self-conscious about your reading, but I think it's pretty good.
Okay.
It's better than mine.
Yeah. I just read very short parts at a time. Like I'm not looking out the whole sentence to think about how I need to read it, kind of thing. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, here's the question for the podcast that literally starts with question for the podcast. What do you use for air purification in the studio? Seeing Joe Thompson and John Smith talk about their new devices has got me thinking about it. Thanks. That's Thistle Moore Pottery. You have something, or you have
I have
something.
I have a small one that I keep over by the kilns because that's where I mix my glazes and do the waxing and stuff. So that's a Amazon. It's like a round standing air filtration thing, and it has a number that it generates based on the quality of the air around it, and it can auto adjust and suck in the air, filter it, and do whatever. It's not going to be as fancy as huge units that people have, but I think it's good for the amount of space I have, and I'm pretty conscious about keeping the dust down anyways.
Your space is really clean. Ryan's one of those people that if a tiny little like
I'm not sweeping stuff onto the floor.
Yeah. If like a trimming falls on the floor, he picks it up and puts it in the bucket.
Yeah.
I've seen him do it.
I just did it tonight when I was trimming stuff. Yeah, because especially get it when it's wet,
Yeah.
I mean, the worst is probably just leaving trimmings inside of a bin, and then I'll dump them in a 5-gallon bucket. But I'm always cautious to cover the 5-gallon buckets up that are slop, so that there's not dry stuff just sitting and all that. But yeah.
So I'm on Google right now, and so Rebecca's in this. She's pouring candles right now. So I asked her what they have at the studio that I work at, and then I'll tell you also what I got from my studio back home. And here's something that needs to be said before we talk about air purification. I'm not positive that Ryan's air purifier is good enough for silica dust. So it says silica dust particles from 0.01 to 100 UM in diameter and 10 microns or less in length are a significant health risk.
Mine says True H13 HEPA filtration filters 99.97% of particles as small as 0.3 microns.
Yeah, so I believe that silica is... I thought that silica was 0.1. But why can't I find it? Silica dust particle size in microns. Okay, fine, you jerk. I think that it is, if I recall from my past research, it's 0.1, but I could be completely wrong. So we're just going to assume that it's less than 10 microns.
10 microns down to 0.1 microns? That's a big difference.
Or let's just assume what you said is. I think it's probably 1 micron.
Mine says it goes down to 0.3. So you're saying it's less than 0.3. You think it's 0.1.
I think it's 0.1, but I can't be sure because nothing is telling me what the actual size of silica dust is, which seems ridiculous. 0.01 micrometers in diameter. Yeah, I think it's 0.01. 0.1, 0.01, somewhere in there. So, anyway, moving on.
What does Rebecca have? Did you say what Rebecca has?
So, Rebecca, yeah, that's what I was getting to. Rebecca has the WEN, WEN, dry dust collector with polyester filter. And that circulates and filters air in your workspace with a 5 micron outer filter and a 1 micron inner filter. So I'm not positive it's like getting everything, but it's helping. You know, it's kind of like what yours is doing.
I mean, I'm looking on Sheffield Pottery at one. That's a huge one. It's like $3,000. It's it says HEPA certified filters has removed 99.97 of the 3 MU particles. So that's the same percentage as mine.
Yeah.
So if this $3,000 version for off Sheffield Pottery, I would think that is equivalent to what mine is doing.
Yeah, for sure.
It's just for a bigger square footage.
So if I remember, okay, I haven't done research on this forever, so you're going to have to do your own research. But if I remember correctly, the Hyper HEPA is the only HEPA filter that actually completely filters out the silica. Like a HEPA does really good, but the Hyper HEPA is the one that does it the most, if I remember correctly. So, okay, this WEN filtration is 177, and it does filter quite a bit out. So, so those are really good, and they hang on.
But
are we
like splitting hairs here? How much difference are we talking here?
What do you mean?
Are we just getting like you're gonna get 10% better with this thing versus what I'm using? You know,
right?
You're saying like Hyper HEPA versus
what you're using
HEPA
is technically better than this is, but this is bigger and it moves more air around. So if you had like a larger studio or like a really dusty studio, it might pull in more dust. Now, the one that I bought is the IQ Air, and that's a really fucking expensive filter. And that goes to 0.001 microns.
0.001.
Yeah.
So that's like 99.9999%.
Yeah. It's the like the purest air
the
purifier.
Holy shit package.
Yeah, it's the holy shit, holy grail of the purifying system.
Yeah.
And it's large. It's like it's a good size.
That's what you had in your studio, your other studio in Washington?
Yeah, I had 2 of them.
Wow.
And they did help quite a bit.
Were you fairly dusty in general?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so so this has like 4 different filtration systems in it. It's just crazy.
Wow.
And so I can't even find the 0.001, but I remember that number in my brain. But
okay. I'll trust you.
But I don't know if buying an $800-900 filter is like that $3,000 filter. I don't know if that's even realistic. I think that like really buying one of these WEN dust dry dust collectors is good enough, and it's only $200. I mean, like that's a drop in the bucket for.
Yeah.
You know.
Mine is the Silver Onyx ONYX air purifier for home. Mine's based on a large room, 500 square feet, and it's about $170.
Yeah. I mean,
So that's what I've
I
got.
think I think like buying one of these that's like $180 is fine and dandy, especially if you have like a home studio. You're not going to get it that dusty, and if you are getting it that dusty, change.
Yeah, I think there's a number of things you could be preventative about that you
Yeah.
don't have to introduce dust. You can't just say, well, it's going to guarantee to be dust. Like, there's things that you can do to cut down on dust so that there's
Yeah.
just not dust sitting in the air at all times.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just
Especially
you
if you're
can-
the one controlling everything, you know?
yeah. You can definitely make your studio better just by mopping once a week, and like less dust once a week, and so I
And
think
like
that
not
it
having
starts with
fans
that.
on while you're doing things with dry material so it's not blowing all over the place and
Or don't have a
suspending
fan
the
in
air
your studio at all. Actually.
at all. Yeah.
Like just at all. But also I think that it's important to say that we know nothing about silicosis as a medical situation. Like that's obviously not our expertise, and this is just what we suggest. It's not set in stone. Like you have to do your own research on this stuff because it's your lungs, not ours. But what I will say is that there's plenty of people who have been in a studio for 50 plus years and have never used a filtration system and have never used a fucking, like, some people haven't even ever used a mask, a respirator, and they've never gotten silicosis. And then there's some people that have been in a studio for 3 years and used masks and did all the things and they got silicosis. It all depends on your immune system and the way that you are personally. So you can do the best you can to prevent it, but at the end of the day, your body's going to choose whether you get silicosis or not.
Only you can prevent
Only
silicosis.
you can prevent silicosis. Yes.
You know what? So back in the day, I got a book called Safety in the Ceramic Studio. It's like a very small paperback. It's like $10 on Amazon.
Yeah.
And it's funny because the guy that authored this is the same guy, I believe, on this one clay group. That is. Do you follow a clay group that's like myths in the studio and stuff? Okay. But it's Jeff Zemeck.
Okay.
And he wrote this book, and I just connected the dots. He posts a lot of things about like myths with S cracking and he goes at length about like why and stuff. So
Yeah.
but yeah, that talks about mopping and similar stuff that we're talking about. But it's a quick, like, easy read if you just want it. Keep it in your studio. So
just don't sweep a bunch of shit in your studio. Like just don't shit in your studio and don't sweep it up. Don't.
just leave it there.
Just leave it. Oh God, we're ridiculous. Okay, what is our topic today?
Okay, so the topic today sparked from a discussion I was having with my assistant earlier today. And she's in a situation where she was asking me, at what point do you decide to start selling your stuff? Mm-hmm. And that was sparked because I'll just lay out her like situation, which I'm sure a lot of people are kind of in this state. So she just started making in a community studio about a year and a half ago, maybe a year ago.
Yeah.
And has taken a few classes and is kind of getting the groove with like understanding how she's making stuff and how to apply glaze right and troubleshooting how to fix things with forms. And she's stockpiling things that she's made, and she's like, what do you do with them until you start selling them? Like, and then also, she's, now that she's working for me, she's kind of offsetting her costs at the studio with the payment she's making here. So
yeah,
she was asking me a little bit about, when did you decide to start selling? What factors or what questions do I need to think about as I start to go down that path Or what are the alternatives, I guess.
Yeah.
So, I would suspect a lot of people are in this situation. Either you've been making for a bit and you're like, I don't know what to do with this, and you're in an apartment and you don't have a lot of space, or so.
Who was the guy that like made for a whole year before he sold anything? Was that Matthews Pottery or like God, who was it?
Matthews Pottery?
Matthew something's Pottery or something. I remember
Matthew Kelly?
Oh, it must have been Matthew Kelly. Is that the one that John Smith went and did a wood firing with him? I think it was him. I'm not positive, but somebody like made sure that they made pottery for a full year before they started selling. Mm-hmm. And I thought that was kind of interesting. I feel like that's a good benchmark, you know? I think
that's a good goal. I mean, I think it depends on, I don't know, there's a number of things. It's like, are you talking a year as in you take 4 classes that are 6 weeks at a time over a year because it's a whole, like you have 4 sessions? Or are you talking a year where you're getting some good hours on the wheel, you know, or in the studio?
Yeah, I know. That's a good question. I think that if you look back at it, we all started selling before we should have started selling. And I feel like that's the, I don't know. It's kind of like, it's just the way it is. You just start selling before you should. Because when you start selling,
and yeah,
you learn all the things that you shouldn't have done that now you should do, you know?
Right. And you've got pots out there that maybe were subpar.
Oh my God, how many pots?
Or definitely subpar, not maybe subpar.
How many pots have people found in the Goodwills in all around Washington?
If you saw a pot of yours that was from Goodwill, there was a Goodwill that was not a good quality pot, would you buy it and then break it?
No.
That was yours?
Nah.
You would just let it
continue. I don't need to spend any money on that shit. I'm not going to spend money on my own shit. Like
No, I'm saying spend money on it to buy it, to break it, to be like, this is not quality enough to keep circulating out there.
No.
I wouldn't do that. I was just suggesting it.
I would never buy my own pottery to break my own pottery. Like, I'm not going to spend the money to break something. Like,
you're just going to accidentally knock it off the shelf.
Yeah, somebody else can have that, like, shitty pot. But somebody else will love it. Like, somebody will love it. That's how it always works, you know? The shittiest of cups that you have. Oh, Lord. Man, I went to my friend's house. I was house sitting for them, dog sitting, and pulled out a cup and put some water in it, and I was like, holy shit. This isn't even vitrified. I know it's not vitrified. And I was like, can I please take this back and just fire it again? And I ended up not taking it back. But like that, specifically vitrification is where I like get like queasy when it's like
that's the definite mark where I realized, okay, this is not right. And then I immediately look back at all the like pots I made before, and I'm like, how risky is it that these pots are not vitrified?
Yeah, and I think that's what's funny is that we all, I don't know a single person that hasn't gone through the, holy shit, I've been selling pots that weren't okay. Like, I don't know a single person that didn't go through that was like, oh no, I don't even know if this is vitrified. Like, oh shit, you know? And I think that's like, it's like a rite of passage almost.
Right.
Like
and we hope people that hear this that are in that state of like, look up what we talked about vitrification a lot. So you should definitely know what we're talking about here, because it has especially if you're making functional pots that people are using all the time in their dishwashing and their microwaving, and you need to know about vitrification for sure.
Yeah. And I think that's actually like, when should I start selling? You should start selling when you've tested all of your pieces. Like like, or you should never sell if you haven't tested any of them. That's the biggest thing. Don't start fucking selling your pieces if you don't even know if it's food safe or if it can like last through a dishwasher or even multiple uses of a human, because that's just not good practice.
How do you get those miles in on it? Is it giving it to family and you trying it yourself and putting it through the ringer and whatnot?
Yeah, I mean, like the food safe, you can tell, by doing the lemon test or the vinegar test or
right,
an acidic test. And there's like what Digital Fire has all the different ways that you can test your stuff. And you can do the shock test and you can do the vitrification test. And I think that you shouldn't be selling unless you've done these tests, because then you can go into a show, even if your pots look like absolute shit. I would be totally fine with somebody selling absolute shit pots if they'd done all the tests. Like, you don't have to throw for shit, but if you've done all the tests, I'm like, well, you've done all the tests. At least,
well, you passed my seal of approval.
Yeah, at least you'll get better at some point. But like, I think that really for me. I could care less if you sell. I think that you should sell whenever you can sell. And like, and everybody, like all the fancy potters will be like, don't sell until you're ready. And it's like, well, you're never ready. You're never ready to have a baby. You're never ready to sell your pottery. Like,
same thing.
Same thing. It's just the same thing.
How long were you making before you sold anything? Well, not anything. I guess sold regularly. Maybe.
Yeah, let's start with that, because like in college, Yeah. And also, I think it's totally different when you're in like college and somebody else is firing your work. And like they've figured out that everything is vitrified or blah 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 blah, like it's cone 10 and stuff like that. So I mean, like I sold some stuff in college, but I didn't sell regularly until 2014.
2014. And when did you how long was that ending when you started? Sorry,
I started doing pottery in 2009.
2009. Okay, so 5 years. Yeah, mine was similar. I started in 2007, which was in high school. And when you're learning in that level, like you're not thinking about selling, you're just like worrying about making stuff.
I mean, they are now, but we weren't.
Yeah, I was. And then I started selling in technically probably not as a business until probably 2015, but I probably sold some stuff in like 2014.
Yeah.
So that was 7 years. But most of that is just, you're making stuff. I might have sold some stuff earlier than that.
And
when I was working at studios and they had sales just at the end of a session or something, or in the seasons. But that's not really like
that
regularly.
Doesn't even count. That doesn't even count. It's like what your assistant's going through right now. Like, I think that it's absolutely 100% appropriate, especially if it's coming out of a well-known studio. Like, they're firing her pieces to a consistently like usable state, and like, I still think she should do the tests, because everybody should do the tests, but like have a fucking garage sale at the end of the quarter or whatever and be like, I just need to get rid of this shit. Like, please come take these pots, and don't like sell them for cheap, like just like at that point you're just like, please take all of this. Like, I don't want it in my life, And
like, you're really just those pieces that you're making in the first, I want to say like a couple of years, but the first, the beginner stage or the intermediate stage of your learning, they're really just test pieces for you to get better and better.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that it's totally like, I had a garage sale, or I had a driveway sale, because I didn't have a garage, but like I had a driveway sale and I made like $1,500, and I sold every single pot for like $3. Like it was literally like an actual garage sale. And I think that's totally fine. Like, I just made a bunch of shit though. And also, like, I don't know about you, but I started in college, we were going to Cone 10, and then I went and I started classes at Bruning, and that was Cone 10. And then I moved away from Bruning in probably 2014, 2015, and started making my own glazes and like testing them and like making all of the glaze recipes. And so I knew that Bruning was A-okay because Bruning had to be A-okay because they're a functioning production studio. So every single glaze and clay that they're throwing has to be food safe. So there wasn't
Right.
even a need, like I didn't even need to test anything, even if I didn't, you know.
You
But-
mostly need to test them to give yourself peace of mind, and you also just need to know
Yeah.
the education of knowing
Of
how
testing.
to do that, because when you get a new clay body or you get a new glaze, you need to know how to verify that it is safe.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, so I don't think I did the tests after I moved from Cone 10 to Cone 6. And that right there was
That's
where
a
I
big
went
difference.
wrong. Yeah. Because I don't know if I was just not thinking about it or I
Were you
didn't
using
know.
because you were using the same clay is the issue, right? You were using the same Cone 10 clay.
I switched to a Cone 6 clay.
Okay.
For Cone 6 body. But the problem is that Seattle Pottery, their clay that I was using didn't vitrify at Cone 6. Like what I was firing to. And I mean, I was in a kiln sitter kiln, you know, and
Right.
who knows what temperatures they got to. Oh God.
Were you using the cones
I think
besides
so,
the one in the
maybe.
sitter?
Yeah, I mean, obviously sometimes they were vitrified because sometimes they got to Cone 8.
Oh my god.
But yeah, I mean, who even knows? I thought so sad, the beginning of my pottery career. Wow.
Yeah, I think as you start getting into like, okay, these are going to be in other people's houses, you need to understand stuff like, besides just this is the clay that my studio has and this is the clay I'm using, you need to understand like, what is the clay that I'm using? Look it up. What is what are the properties of it? What's the shrinkage rate? You know, what's the
MSDS?
absorption?
Like, get the
What's the vitrification temperature? How much does it vitrify at this cone versus this cone? Oh, by the way, what cone are we actually getting to in this kiln? Even though you're in the community studio, I'm just curious. You know?
Yeah. You know what's interesting is that when I got the gig with Starbucks, I had to. So I was at Bruning when I started doing the Starbucks gig, and it was a one-time thing, but they needed MSDSs for all of the materials that was being used. And MSDS is a material system data sheet. And so material safety data sheet. And so I didn't have those because I was going through classes. I probably could have gotten them if I'd actually tried. But so they had to take a few pieces that I made and actually send them to a lab, break them up, and make sure that they were okay for like selling in a large, like that's what those big
Because
companies,
they're under liable. Yeah.
Yeah, they're liable for stuff like that. So like keep that. That's that is something that I should have back in the day like been like, oh right. But yeah, it was like, this is fucking crazy. I was like, I don't have the material safety data.
Did you know what that was before they asked for it? Because of the paint shop?
Yeah, just because of paint. Yeah, me and MSDSs are we are one.
Is the main reason they do it for paint is just to make sure there's no lead in it, and that's it? Or are there other materials that are?
There's other
hazardous
materials
that-
and yeah, I mean like there's like you have latex and all the things that go into paint. But also, side note, have you been playing Wordle?
No, I've avoided.
Okay,
it.
well it's kind of fun, and they're always 5-letter words, and they have and so you have 5 guesses or 6 guesses or something. And yesterday's word, I think it was yesterday or maybe it was today. Oh, it's done. Anyway, yesterday's word was caulk, Caulk,
Mm-hmm.
and I got it on the second try, and I was like, "This is my word."
Wow.
I was like, "Yes."
Have you
Anyway.
ever played Mastermind?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's basically the same thing, but it's with colored pegs
Colors.
instead of words.
I used to love Mastermind. Yeah. Um. Yeah. When did you start selling versus when did you like test your pieces officially to
Oh.
like make?
I mean, I probably started selling in, let's say 2016, like as a business.
Yeah.
And I probably didn't test my stuff until, I don't know, 2018, 2019.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. I mean,
I
I
mean,
was I was definitely like an inheritor of materials. Like, I think the person
Yeah.
I got my wheel from, my like Brent wheel, she had a bunch of clay, so I got that like standard 182, and you get like, 6 boxes of it, and you're like, okay, I'm set.
Yeah.
I got a good amount of clay to get going. And then you get going, and then you're like, oh, I need more clay. Let's go get the same clay that I had, you know?
Yeah.
And then I inherited glazes, so I got all the glazes from them. And then I'm like testing them out, seeing what I like, seeing what works, seeing what doesn't work. And the person I got my stuff from was a hobby potter, so they weren't.
Right.
And I just picked the glazes that I kept the glazes that I liked really well, and then I just didn't really use the other ones that I didn't like. And I still use a lot of those today. The Juicy Turquoise was from them. The Floating Blue was
Yeah.
from them. The Bone was from them. You know, some of those have been around for a while, and I just happened to keep the same stuff that I got from that person.
Yeah.
And then I did update my clay. I mean, the clay vitrification stuff, some of that comes from you get the glazes on there, and then you start using them. You test them for an Etsy restock, and you realize that it doesn't hold the water, or it starts seeping onto the table. Like, some of that was like hitting my mind of like, okay, what's going on here? Or you get customers that'll innocently reach out to you after the fact and be like, this thing is leaking, you know. And you're like, oh, I don't know. And then you kind of put the pieces together in your mind of, oh, I've seen that. It wasn't just a fluke on this one piece. It's like there's other reasons why it's doing this. And like your customers
Yeah.
are using it so much that they're really good at getting that longevity of pieces. Because, I mean, I don't use my own piece every single day for like 2 years. So I can't get that longevity with my pieces right out of the kiln. And you only see them when they're at their best, when they come right out of the kiln. So,
Right. You don't see him 3 years down the line when there's a hairline crack up the white glaze, and there's coffee stains all the way through that tiny, like
Yeah.
crazed crack, and they still love it regardless.
right.
Like,
So I do get some of those questions back and forth, and I'll, respond to them or offer to exchange pieces. And so, there's some glazes that I've determined over time don't work well as a liner glaze because for whatever reason they don't fit as well on the inside. And I just, like that's part of it, as well as, I would say the absorption is the main thing. The vitrification, the absorption has been the main issue for me.
you know what's interesting is that first of all, I think that this is a very abstract conversation about when to start selling, but I think that personally, I think you can start selling whenever the fuck you want. But but like these are just what I think that these are just what we've found that we needed before, like we wish we would have known before we started selling.
But it's not a prerequisite. It's gonna
No.
It's gonna be better for you in the long run if you know this stuff now, because
Yeah.
if you come across this stuff when you have a bunch of your pots out there and you get a bunch of customers coming back to you with the same problem, you could avoid that
Yeah.
if you know this stuff beforehand.
Yeah, I feel like I knew vitrification before I knew what vitrification was. So, like,
Oh, definitely. The leaking on the table kind of thing? Or
not
was it
even the
something
leaking
else?
on the table thing. No, for years, you've seen me do this. For years, I've taken pots out of kilns and licked the bottoms. And you don't lick them, but you just, like, you've
Why
seen me
would you
do it.
randomly do that, though?
Because, like, you realize, like, I like knew what vitrification was without like knowing how to test it, you know? Like I would put my tongue on the bottom and if it sucked in all the water, I was like, "Oh, that's not like good enough." You know? It like wasn't fired high
I want to
enough
know what
because my
sparked that initial lick of the bottom of a pot.
I
Like, I
don't
don't understand that
know.
part.
I don't know. Maybe Bruning did tell me about vitrification or not. I don't know. I mean like it's appalling and amazing how many people don't know what vitrification is after going through either higher education clay works or like studio stuff. And I would be put into that category of like somebody who didn't know exactly. But it might have been something that I was taught that I just was like ingrained in me, but that I didn't know what it really meant or what it needed, you know? And but I would say that when I started in 2014 and I think I tested. Oof. I know for sure I tested food safety. I know for sure I tested food safety in probably 2015, 16. I'm not, and I tested shock in that same time, like right when I got the glazes, because I was making little oil bottles and I put vinegar in a, because I was freaked out about if cobalt would leak out of my glaze.
Into the
And
vinegar that you're pouring on food?
yeah, that's another thing. Like you can put vinegar in, and if it sucks out the color, then it's not safe. And so I like freaked out about it. And then I don't know the vitrification thing. I don't think I like. I think I maybe like knew it was wrong, but like didn't have any idea how to fix it or to like what to do. You know. So
Right.
but I did an official vitrification test. That's when Jen Beachy told me about it in 2000. Was that 2017? In 2017. Um, and all my pots were fine. Like by that time, I had switched clays because I knew something was
Yeah.
fucked up. You know,
I
and
mean, you can
so
only do so much with commercial clays you're buying. You kind of have to just bite the bullet and switch
yeah,
clays.
yeah. And by that time, I'd already switched. But uh, yeah. Gosh, I think I still have that screenshot of Jen sending me the formula for it. Uh,
The
but
formula
yeah,
for what? For determining
vitri-
vitrification absorption
yeah,
stuff?
yeah. I think it's on Digital Fire. Go there.
Go
Yeah,
there.
go there.
Okay.
Hey.
Yeah, and the other discussion I was just having with her about the starting to sell, it was you have to figure out what avenues do you want to sell. Like, are you going to go
So
the
true.
online route? Are you going to go the in-person route? If you go the online route, you know, you're going to have to nurture those people a little bit. You're competing with a lot more people. You have to, you know, you have to have some kind of setup for like can you ship stuff? Do you have the space to be shipping things and storing shipping material? And does your time frame work with that, or are you more of a hey,
Yeah,
I'll sell it 2 or 3 shows a year and we'll just see how it goes in person? So she was kind of like, you know, I can do the shows, I think, and then do you have the space to store all the stuff when you sell at shows?
yeah. Here's the thing that I think. Here's my old opinionated person opinion. I think you should always start selling at shows, and the reason is, or even if you get like famous online for something stupid, um, I think that you should always sell at a show because people tell you the fucking truth at shows, and they'll see like what they pick things up and they buy things or whatever, you can get, and you could have so much success online by the way your pieces look, but then when they pick them up, they're like, what the fuck? Like,
It's
I
a little
hate
deceiving.
this.
They don't. They're not.
Yeah.
It's not meeting what they had in their mind.
Yeah, so I think that you should at least do one in-person show, like, just to see. Yeah, like, I mean, I would do more, but I also think that online, I know that you probably agree with this, online can fucking kick your ass. Like, if you start out online...
Yeah, I would say there's more there's definitely more risks there. I mean, how much money did I waste on like not knowing efficient ways to ship things? I didn't even discover first class mail until we were talking about it on a podcast that I could do that on Etsy. I didn't know that was an option, that I could actually ship my... I think it was before I started shipping shot glasses, or maybe it was I was shipping shot glasses priority, and I was like, I'm wasting so much money on shipping.
Yeah,
that I'm probably losing customers because I don't want to spend that on shipping. So,
yeah,
understanding how that works and just like efficient packing that is not just mix match shit.
Well, yeah, but also like Instagram is so populated too. I mean, we're lucky. We were on Instagram before, like...
But there's also people that were luckier, I would say luckier, but they started before us, and they,
I mean, I started in 2014. You started in 2014-ish.
14, 15, yeah, something like that.
And, like, we have that longevity in Instagram. There's some people that are starting out that don't have that longevity. Like, that, not having the longevity paired with maybe not having amazing pieces. Maybe they have good pieces, but then paired with, maybe they haven't figured out photography yet. Maybe they haven't figured out, like, how to set up, like, an Instagram page. Like, that's fucking hard. Like, you have to have an eye for that. I certainly don't have an eye for that.
Yeah. I would say if you're a consumer of it, you probably have a little bit of a leg up because you know what's popular. So you know a little bit, hopefully you know a little bit of what you can experiment with. Maybe not, like, to copy what they're doing that works. But you can copy a little bit of what they're doing with, types of content that they're sharing. But, what I'm saying about that is, like, process videos or, like, glazing videos are popular, or how you do a certain technique, or, stuff like that. I'm not saying copy the exact thing they're making. That could give you a leg up. And especially if you have those technical skills of being able to use your phone efficiently and good eye for the photography side. So, not saying that people can't get popular that just started Instagram recently.
No, you absolutely can, but I do think it's harder than when it was, like, than when we started. Because it's a lot more populated than it was.
Yeah. I would say as a general statement, I would agree with that. I'm sure there's...
Yeah. There's always exceptions.
But it's not a reason to avoid it. But yeah, I would agree definitely the in-person shows is the way to go. And you could do it super minimal. There are some shows out there that you can do 2 or 3 times a year that you don't even need to do it outside, and you don't even need a tent. You can do it inside at a venue that they host.
At a church.
There you go. You could do it there. You could do it like Queen City Clay has one, the Holiday Bazaar. They have their students have the option to sell. It's like $10 or $20 for a table, and you volunteer some time that weekend, and you can set all your stuff up. All you need is literally a tablecloth and maybe some things to set some tiers up for, having some vertical things for your pieces to sit on that's not just flat on a table. Yeah. And that's super low cost. You don't need a lot of equipment or extra things to sell your stuff. And I would say stuff like that is totally viable for people just starting out, and it's not going to break the bank to do. Plus you get a lot of other, you get some foot traffic. That's probably the best, just to see what people respond to, what people like, don't like. If you sell it online, it's kind of hard. A lot of that is abstracted because the interaction is happening with the person on the other side of their phone, and you don't get any of that.
Yeah.
Unless they're telling you.
Yeah, I just think, I mean, like, I definitely think you should be selling in person. There's so much to be learned from that. Ugh, so much. There's so much. Oh, let's talk about what prices. Can we talk about, like, how we would price our stuff at the very beginning versus now?
Sure.
That's kind of an interesting, like...
Mm-hmm. How do you determine
Like-
what to price something that...
Especially
You're
when
not-
you're starting out.
Yeah, because you're not deep into the cost of materials and all that. You're probably just thinking, how much does it cost me to do this class?
Right.
Am I covering costs of my class? And that's like the bare minimum of what I need. Or
Yeah.
just, can I get rid of this stuff, and what price would I be happy getting rid of it at, you know?
Yeah. Also, we should mention that you don't have to sell your stuff.
Yeah.
That's an option.
I mean, shit,
That
you
nobody-
could keep it, you could donate it, you could gift it to people,
Yeah.
you can smash it if you want. I don't care.
Yeah, you can use it as shooting practice, like target practice, like the concept of having the fact that you have to sell your pieces is absolutely false. You know, you can have a hobby and not sell the stuff you have the hobby in. That is an
would-
actual thing that can happen.
Yeah. I would say definitely keep some of the very early on pieces if you plan to do this for a long period of time. Keep some of those early pieces because you'll really appreciate them down the road.
Mm-hmm. What does Krista always says? Keep the first, keep the worst, keep the best. I don't know if she says keep the worst, but I like that. Keep the first, keep the worst, keep the best.
I wished I would have kept some more of the pieces from very specific times in my making, whether it was
for sure.
high school making at this one studio, because that studio that I made out of high school is not there anymore in Louisville.
Mm-hmm.
And I wished I had like a focal piece that I made there, even if it was shitty, that I could look back on and be like, I made this in that studio.
Yeah.
And then you're like, okay, I have these pieces from Covington Clay, and then these are from college. I still have some college pieces, so.
I still have some college pieces, but I started in college, but I still have some college pieces that, like, I was going through my, like a bin that my sister or my mom, like, put away, and me and my sister were going through it, and I was like, oof, 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 oof. I remember this cup. I thought I was so good. I was so bad. I was like, oh God, all my walls were way, 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 way too thin. Like, ugh. I didn't know how to pull a handle until...
Oh, man, handles were terrible. I had really
I
thin
didn't-
handles. I had really tiny handles that you couldn't even fit a finger
Ugh.
in.
I didn't know how to pull a handle until 2014.
They were terrible. They were terrible. The worst handles I had were probably at that studio outside of school, where it was loosey-goosey. I was making my own stuff. I didn't have any instruction. I was really just renting studio time, and my handles fucking sucked. And then I had an experience when I was in high school where my teacher actually like tore a handle off my pot.
Oh no. My teacher never taught us how to do handles in college.
I was like,
But
what
I
the
kind of like
fuck?
I took the very bohemian route in college. So, but
Yeah. I feel like I learned to pull a good handle in college from Ben Clark. And that's the way that I make my handles today. Thank you, Ben
your
Clark.
handles are great. I would say, so a very specific memory I have is always washing my hands in the sink in the college clay room. And there's a poster right in front to the left a little bit. And it had a billion different types of handles on it.
Yes,
was
I've
like
seen that
from-
same poster, or one from the
Yeah.
same company that probably comes
was
out with
like
it every time. all
From
the time.
Enseco or something, like a long, long time ago. And I would just stare at that poster and I could never figure it out. Just
It probably showed the process of pulling it, and then it probably showed just different handle shapes, and some of
Yeah.
them with like backfills in them, I think. And
oh God, yes.
there's so many
and then
options,
the ribbed ones, like the ones that have texture on them.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, anyway, we were talking about cost. What should you sell your pieces for if you are a shitty potter? I'm kidding. No,
Depends
it's
on where you're at, though, right?
Huh?
I was selling when I was starting. I was probably selling mugs for like $15,
I
18
think
bucks.
that's a really appropriate place to start.
Yeah.
I don't know. Hold on. Let me ask Rebecca. Hey, how much did you sell your pieces when you first started? $5 each.
No matter what it is, a bowl, mug, cup, plate.
Yeah, didn't matter how big it was, didn't matter what it was, $5 each. I think that's a great price. Yeah, she said it. She says it covers her. It covered her expenses, and like really, I mean,
That's a
I
get rid
think
of
that
it price. I
people-
mean, it depends on how many pieces you got, but yeah, that's a good.
People think so highly of themselves when they start out, and that's that is that. Like, and I am also I'm the first one to admit that I thought I was the shit. And I was so terrible. And I think that if you're just new, you just need to accept the fact that sometimes your stuff is going to get better.
Yeah.
It's never going to be this bad again. And and like sell it for cheap. Just sell it for just don't be prideful in your pieces, you know?
I think I sold some of my early stuff in high school. Like probably not that cheap because I feel like I made some quality stuff at that point, and I was a little more. I wouldn't say artsy, but I was a little more organic with it. Like I was making a variety of things and actually understanding and making note of when glazes came out really nice, so that I can use those on my best quality pieces, so that I had a good quality piece all around.
Yeah.
When I like had forms that I really liked, and then I did a Golden Key scholarship thing it was like an art scholarship deal in Kentucky. I don't know if that's a wider spread thing, but they had like an art competition and I enrolled a bunch of pieces and I got a bunch of like gold keys for specific pieces and then like silver keys for specific pieces. So I was like, ooh, these are like really good. But also it's like compared to other high schoolers and like we probably had a great ceramic program, you know.
Yeah.
So I was like really proud of those pieces, and I think my mom still has some of those. So
there's
like,
some
that's
high
great.
schoolers out there that make phenomenal pieces, like stuff that the stuff that I didn't get to until year 5. You know, and keep in mind we are talking about when we first started selling. When you and I first started selling, we already had 5 years in the game.
Yeah.
Like, our pieces were good. They weren't great, but they were good, and they were still shitty.
Yeah. I would say good, like, part-time 5 years.
Yeah. And, like, yeah. In college, I made a bunch of shit. Like, I if you couldn't tell, I've always been a production-type person, so I've made a ton of stuff. But, like, even the, like, pinch pots that I have, from college, none of them have like a smooth bottom. They're all like shitty on the bottom. Like I didn't trim anything. I hated trimming. And like, oh God.
I had terrible feet when I was doing the pieces in college and stuff. I would have like over exaggerated feet where they're like really wide. So it was like, oh, it's like a volcano shape, but it's like a wide base. So and then I would like bevel it. But I would keep it like really wide, and it just looked weird. It's like, can I just cut off like half an inch of that foot that you have there? Because it's just awkward.
You know what we've done here today is that we came here to talk about like when you should start selling your pieces and at what prices and stuff. And what we've really done is just said how shitty our stuff was. Like that's. Like, we haven't accomplished anything. We're just like, man, my shit looks so bad. Oh. What do you think? Okay. What would you say to your studio assistant how much she should sell her shit for? What do you think?
I haven't actually seen her pieces, but
Okay. That's
I'm-
good then. You
I'm
haven't
ass-
seen them.
Yeah, I'm assuming the handles probably lack some. Handles are always lacking for noobs, right?
Yeah, always.
Yeah, they're never like comfortable,
No.
or maybe it's just like being proportionate to the form, and not like over touched and stuff. I don't know. I think a $15 mug and $10 bowl, not bad.
Sure. Yeah. I would say nothing more than 15, personally. I mean, like, I think that Rebecca made a good point. She covered her expenses. When you're learning, you're not out to make money. You're out to cover the expenses that you're spending to learn.
Yeah.
And I also think that even if your stuff is like above par, it's still okay to sell it cheap. You know? Like, because you're still learning. Like, you're learning. You're not
Yeah.
in business, you know?
Yeah, that's just a piece along your path of all the pieces you're going to make.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's a good price point. And then what about just getting into the whole selling in person? Like, is that, how do you, I guess just figure out, like, if you want to, you'll get the questions about, like, oh, where do you make your stuff? How do you make your stuff? Is it food safe? Well, where are you located? Do you sell online? Do you have a website? All that stuff.
Right. It's totally and 100% acceptable to say, I'm in class right now, so no, I'm not in business. I'm just selling my stuff to get a little money so I can pay for classes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I wonder, going into some of those shows, I guess depends on the show you're going into. They're probably more like farmers markets and stuff like that you're going to be doing that early on, where you're just like, here's who I am, here's my stuff, here's my social media to see more of my stuff to show you that I'm legitimate and I'm not just going to come there and scam you or something.
Yeah.
And here's my email that's not some crazy email address, but it's something that is legible. Yeah. Do you say they should have business cards at their first thing? Like, how do you get people to contact you if they have issues or anything? Or do you just say, this is what I'm selling, take it or leave it?
I mean, I think we already know the answer that I'm going to
Becca's like, still don't have business cards. I don't even sign my pieces. So
some lady tried to argue with me that you needed to sign the bottom of your pieces on Clay Buddies, and I was like, nah. So the answer is no. I don't think you need a business card, and if somebody wants to get a hold of you, you write down your phone number. Or you write down your email and you hand it to them on a piece of paper. And that is damn good enough.
Here you go. Get crafty with some, I don't know, get some craft paper and write something on it.
Use a good old pen and paper.
Yeah.
Yeah. We got to get going pretty soon because I'm getting a fucking headache. Rebecca's pouring candles over there and it's a bit much. It's pretty intense.
I bet.
We're lucky that it's 60 degrees today.
As long as you're not burning the place down.
Yeah, no, she's got some of the windows open, like the door open.
Okay. Y'all getting a hot tub in there or what?
No, she won't let me put a hot tub in here.
You and
There's
your
a
fucking hot
basement under
tubs.
here.
If we walk into your
I
apartment,
asked.
you would have a fucking hot tub right in the middle of that living room.
Oh, if I could put a hot tub in my apartment, it would take up the majority of the space, for sure. 100%. 100%. I'm still trying. If we ever get a new building for Graves Co., we're getting a hot tub room.
Hot tub room?
She's shaking her head. I'm HR. We need it for human resource and development.
Team building?
And team building, yeah. Team building.
Okay.
Thursday team meetings in the hot tub. Muscle relaxation station.
Okay.
It's a write off. We have hands to cure.
Get a massage.
Yeah.
Oh, I loved your stories a lot yesterday about whatever about that homes versus renting, and then you always mention the hot tub, always falling back to the hot tub. Any
I
discussion Becca
accidentally.
has about lodging, she's gonna say a hot tub is gonna be in the mix. Hot
I
tub has to be
don't
in
know
the mix.
why. I don't know why, like, all of a sudden in the past year of the hot, I think actually it's my parents' fault, like, the hot tub. We never had a hot tub growing up. I never thought it was important. Like, when my friends had hot tubs, like, we would get in, oh, wait, maybe we did when I was really, really little in our deck. Like, but then we sold that house when I was 5. And then, so I was never allowed to go in the hot tub because little kids, if they're in hot tubs, like, their stomachs get sick and you can throw up. And if you're in the hot water too long. But
Okay.
so anyway, we never had one, and my dad's too fucking cheap. And so I never like knew how wonderful they were. And then
You
my
never like
parents-
went in the hot tub when you were a kid, if you like went to a place that had a pool and a hot tub and you would
Oh yeah,
jump between
for
them
sure.
kind of
But
thing?
I'm like a hardcore pool person. Like I would be in the pool, you
Yeah.
know. Like I'm gonna be swimming. Like
Gotcha.
I need movement. And so, even when I'm at my parents, my mom has a swim spa, which is like it's like a triple size of a hot tub, and my mom and my dad has a hot tub, and because now they're loaded and they can spend their money, which is great. I love it. And so I still always go into the swim spa because I can like swim around, but it's the same temperature as the hot tub. So anyway,
Oh, really?
I never knew. Yeah, she
Nice.
keeps it like 2 degrees below the hot tub. So I never knew how wonderful they were until my parents had one, and I was like in it every single day. And I'm like, this is the absolute shit.
Nice.
Like, everybody needs one. And I accidentally said hot tube in one of my stories yesterday, and Kurt pointed it out. He's like, hot tube. And then I responded with time machine.
That's a great fucking movie.
Oh my god, the first time that I watched Hot Tub Time Machine,
amazing.
that was a great movie. The first time we watched it, I was with one of my professors. So, the professor that I used to, I watched his apartment for a summer because he was on the East Coast with his partner, because his partner at the time lived in New England. And so, anyway, I went to a movie with him and then another friend and then like 2 other people. And it was this tiny ass theater in Pasadena, and there was 10 drunk ass college students behind us, and it was the best movie experience I have ever had in my entire life. We sang every single song loud. And they're like all 80s songs.
Love
was so much fun.
Motley Crue, Home Sweet Home, and then you got the Jesse's Girl.
Oh my god.
I don't know the other songs, but those 2 are standing out for sure.
The next time that we hang out, we should watch Hot Tub Time
That
Machine.
is that is one of the like most like one of the I say recent, I don't even know when that came out, but that's like a recent movie that that's total rewatchability forever. Like for me,
Forever.
that and like Moneyball, honestly, those are 2 of the like more recent movies
Yeah.
that I'm like I can watch these over and over and never get tired of it.
Well, it's just so fucking ridiculous that it was like the dumbest, best movie.
Second one, garbage. Terrible.
I don't think I even saw the second one. So Hot Tub Time Machine came out in 2010, I think.
Okay. We can IMDb this right now.
If I recall, because I was in college and it was kind of towards the later end. 2010, 2011.
Sorry, I'm slow. What year did you say?
2010.
Right on it.
Bitch.
Got a 6.4 on IMDb. Come on, people.
Wait.
I'm
Do
rating
we-
this.
Oh yeah, it was
I'm
a
rating this
bad
thing
movie,
a
but
10.
it was a great movie.
I'm rating this a 10.
10.
I don't even care.
What? Wait, can I guess the month? Do you have the month?
Yeah. What you got?
Okay, I was wearing a sweater. I remember I was wearing a sweatshirt in Pasadena. I'm gonna guess November.
You're way off.
Fuck.
March 26th.
God damn it. Okay, fine.
And I know you didn't fucking see it on, like, release day, so there's no way you went at the end of March. You probably went in, like, April or...
April, yeah.
Second one, terrible. 5.1.
5.1.
It's funny, when we were at Rachel's parents this weekend in Louisville, and we were watching a movie, and I'm like, that's garbage. And I just throw out, like, what I think it got on IMDb. I'm just like, that's like a 6.2 right there. And we looked it up, and it's like, okay, it's like 6.3 or something, you know. It's like, that movie is not that great. Like, you think it's that great? It's like a 6.5. Come on.
It's like a 6.5.
Yeah, so your hot tub discussion, we were talking about the back patio and stuff, figuring out for this year. And I'm like, we're not putting a hot tub this year. Well, maybe down the road, but we'll see.
Do you know what? I'm posting this to my stories right now. Do you know what I saw at Costco? A blow up hot tub for $3.99.
How big is it?
Plenty big for 2 people.
Blow up hot tub.
Yeah.
All right. So that's going in your living room next time I'm there? It's going to be in there?
You know, I asked the property manager about putting a hot tub in my living room, and she was like, "Are you fucking kidding me? The floors could not hold a hot tub."
She say only if you're on the first floor?
And there's a basement here, and I was
You said,
well,
can we put it in the
That's
bottom
exactly
of the stairwell? Is that what you said?
I was like, can we put it in the basement stairwell? And she's like, it's gross down there. I was like, but it's not that bad.
You're like, anything I can do to get a fucking hot tub.
I almost convinced my landlord over at my personal studio. He really wants a hot tub too.
Oh my gosh.
He said we might be able to get a pool in the parking lot.
Oh my god. That's great. That is great. When I was a teenager, we would go down to like Florida and stuff. I always enjoyed this steam room. Steam rooms were good.
Saunas, yes. Somebody messaged me and was like, we're trying to decide between a sauna and a hot tub. And in my mind, I was like, well, I'm like,
I wonder what Becca said.
It was not appropriate in my mind. I did not say what I was thinking, but but
can't you just put a hot tub inside of a wooden shed, and that you get both?
Yes. Well, you can make a sauna. You can make a sot tub.
Oh, man. Now I kind of want to know what you said, but maybe the audience shouldn't hear what you were going to say.
Yeah, I'll tell you after we get off.
All right. Yeah. Anything else today?
No, there's nothing else.
All right. Nobody's ever ready to start selling, so start selling if you want. Or don't sell ever if you don't want to.
Yeah, you do you, boo. You're in control of your own destiny.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Cool. Peace.
Bye.
Yo, higgity, yo. It's Becca here. Hey, just so you know, thank you for listening. And also, we have... What do we have again? A Patreon. We have a Patreon that you should go, and if you want to donate to, you could donate to it. If you don't, that's cool too. But just Google Wheel Talk Podcast Patreon. Don't do the other one, because there is a Wheel Talk on Patreon, but it's not us. So make sure you get the right one. It's in the show notes. And also, leave us a review, because they're fun to read. Okay, bye!